Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to continue with our Git and GitHub section. And basically what we're going to see now will be GitHub. In the last video, we had seen everything with Git, right? We had seen Git status, Git add, Git commit, and Git checkout, which was for checking out a previous commit, right? Going back to a previous state. And Git log was to get a list of all the states you have ever had, right? All the commits you have ever done. So that was basically all that we needed to see. So that was basically all that we needed to see in Git specifically. And what we can move to now is GitHub, right? So what GitHub is basically it is a UI for Git, you can call it, right? GUI. So I'd shown you GitHub a little in the last video too, but in this video now that we actually know what Git is and what are the various features like branching and commits and all of those things, then you will get GitHub much better, because in the last video the use of GitHub according to us was only code sharing and code backup, right? So first of all, I'm on the GitHub homepage and I'm going to make a new account right now so that you can follow along, right? So basically this is the page that you get if you go to www.github.com/list, right? And then you can just make your account in here. So I'll just quickly fill in my details. Take any username. It's quite possible you won't get your exact name, but anyway. Right, enter your email and then make a password. Right. And then just sign up. And I'll have to solve a free puzzle. Then, oh, I clicked the wrong thing, sorry. So, yeah. So that's great. And now that's verified, we can click join a free plan. So what kind of work do you do mainly? Choose whatever you want. In this specific account, I'm going to choose teacher because this is for instructing a course. And everything else, okay, so maybe I do have to fill in a lot. What do you plan to use GitHub for? Host a project. Okay, so I'll do this and let's say this, right? These three. So you can select these three too. And I'm interested in Node.js, JavaScript, and let's say Express, HTML. Okay, they're allowing only 3, I guess. No. Just add everything that we've learned if you want, right? And let's just do complete setup. So an email containing verification instructions has been sent to your email. So now you need to go there and verify your email, right? I'll do that. Alright, so my email has been verified, and when you visit that link that they give you, you'll directly be taken to this particular link, page. This says your email was verified, and then it says what do you want to do first, right? So you could choose this if you want, but I'm just going to skip this for now because I'm actually going to teach you GitHub in some detail, right? Alright, so first let's just click on this. And currently we don't have anything in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a repository, right? So repository is basically something like a container on your GUI, right? So like a Blogify could have a separate repository, your authentication app could have a separate repository. So one repository is basically one project, right? So repository name, I'll just do git demo. Right? and description I'll leave. So this step, right, this is actually important. You could choose to initialize this with a readme if you did not have existing code. So what we are aiming to do now is, if you remember, we had this code, right? In the Git demo, we had something in here, right? So we are aiming to make that code available on GitHub through our terminal itself, right? So that's what we are aiming to do. And for that, you will have to not select this, right? If you select this, then it will just become an empty repository. And we'll see later what that actually is, if we need to, or you could do it in a separate repository. But for now, just leave this unchecked, right? And we're aiming to push this whole structure in which we had initialized Git in the previous video to GitHub, right? So I'll do create repository. So now they are telling me that you have to do this, right? So this is the kind of thing that we're looking for, right? So git remote add origin. I'll explain this line in just a minute, but first we can just paste this in here. So what this is doing is that remotes are basically okay, you can ignore these three. What this line is basically doing is this is adding this link as the origin. So later, if you want to refer to this repository, right, you can just write origin, right? So just paste this in. You can see that or push an existing repository from the command line. So this is what we are aiming to do, right? So they're just telling us do this first and then do this, and then they're telling us to git push dash your origin master. That we'll do by ourselves here. So that command is basically git push origin master. And this is a kind of syntax that you are going to see all the time. So when you're initially making it, you can put dash u because they suggest it, right? But otherwise, even if you don't have this dash u, what this git push basically does is, after this you give two arguments. One is origin and second is master. So you're just saying that whatever code I currently have in my master branch, send that to origin, right? That's all that you're telling Git to do here. And origin is this link. So basically the master code will be pushed to this current repository, right? And I can now execute this line. So it will ask you for a username for github.com. So you'll have to enter that. This was the username that I used, right? And then enter your password. And then it will give something like this. And if you are getting this and branch master setup to drag, etc., means your code has been pushed. And now if you refresh this, you will see I have my complete file structure on GitHub, right? So this was about like adding a repository to GitHub. And now let's see how you can work with things inside this particular site. So I'll close this, right? And now there are basically a lot of tabs here, right? So issues, pull requests, and all of these things, these are complex Git things, and you will have to learn about these when you are working in a team, right? When you're working alone, pull requests and issues don't make a huge like sense using them, and they are like a little advanced concepts compared to what we have learned till now. So we can leave that for now. But the thing is, we are going to see all the Git components in here by using our mouse rather than command line tools, right? So you can see I have these branches here, right? So like the command to create a branch you must have seen in the Git article in the last one. That's basically git checkout -b. Git checkout -b. So this is again a Gourm error. I don't know why this happens all the time. So you could like make a branch from here too. Let's say you make a branch, same new branch. And you can see I have a new branch in here, right? So now you can switch between these branches and it will work perfectly fine, right? And let's say you have this. So now you can see these were my commit messages. If you remember, add new.js file was my commit message. add fruits and applications was my commit message. Initial commit was my commit message. And if I click on this, if I go back, they have written 3 commits here, meaning I've done 3 commits. If I click on this, I can see a list of all of them, and I can click on any one of them to go back to that particular commit. So what they do is they basically tell you the changes that happened in that particular commit. So whatever is in red was removed, and whatever is in green was added, right? And if I click on browse files here, so now this takes me to the normal page, except this page is the state of this page is as it was when we did this commit, because we have selected this one, right? So this is like basically git checkout command, right? And if I go back to master, which is the main branch, I get to my latest commit, right? So add a file, go to file, code, etc., right? So mostly what happens when you get into developing is that you do not do these things through GitHub, right? The only thing that you'll probably do through GitHub is make a pull request, which you don't know what is, so leave that for now. And so basically this is all that we'll do here, and most of the things that we'll be doing will be through Git, right? So the thing is, you do not have to learn any new things for GitHub, right? All of that is done through Git. So if I currently have, let's say I do git status, and they say I've modified goom.manifest. So ideally I do not want to track this file, and there's a way to ignore specific files what you want to ignore. But the thing is, I don't want to get into that much complexity now. So I don't know what I've changed here, but I'll just commit this, right? So I'll do git add dot git commit -m manifest updated, right? And now ideally I have committed my code here, but if I refresh on GitHub, nothing has happened, and that is because they are not directly linked, right? It is not that whatever change you make here is reflected here. So there's just one more command that you need to do, and that is git push origin master. So now you're pushing your master into origin, and what will happen is origin will take all the new commits that you just made and they will be added to GitHub, right? So let's just do that. Let's log in. So it seems like I'm not typing, but I actually am. I think I've mentioned this before too, but that is how passwords work in the terminal. So it says pushed. If you're getting something like this, means your code has been pushed to GitHub. And if I refresh now, I have 4 commits, and it tells me I committed Gurm manifest updated 1 minute ago, right? So it also tells you when you actually committed that thing, and you can see whatever it is, right? So this is like a config file for Gurm, right? And like they're telling ID is this, blah blah blah. We don't have to actually worry about it, and the point is this is all that we actually needed to know about GitHub, right? So we're going to like add a readme here, that this is a Git demo. So readmes are actually really common on GitHub. So what they are that, right? So this is actually counted as a commit because create readme.md is an automatic commit that is done through this, right? All right. So readmes are common on GitHub. Then like if you like visit a GitHub page of any like app or something, they'll have instructions down here. If it's a package, they'll have instructions on how you can use the package, right? So that's basically what a readme does. And the reason I added a readme is because I wanted to show you a reverse relationship too, right? So the thing is, we were making changes here and those got reflected here, right? But it is possible that if we are working in a team, somebody else made changes, he pushed them into GitHub, and now we want to get the changes that were in GitHub in our own code, right? So for that, you'll like, for pushing you had git push, right? For pulling you'll have git pull. And if you just write that, this will get updated, and you can see readme.md has been got here. We've got readme.md here, right? So git push and git pull are the only commands that you need to know to integrate Git with GitHub, right? Alright, so this was like a brief introduction to GitHub and basically all that you need when you're working on it alone, right? So you can visit your previous commits, you can do whatever you want. So how you will normally go forward with this is you will add a feature, you will commit it, you will push it to GitHub and it will get stored. Then you'll move on to the next feature and so on and so forth, right? So this was all about GitHub and congrats, now we have finished Git and GitHub too. So I think now we should be clear with this version control thing, that on GitHub, like you also have a lot of, those are really advanced things, so we're not going to do that, but you can see they have releases. So you can like create a new release and that would be version 1. Then you can keep on making changes and changes and changes and then you can release version 2, right? So that's easy to do through these things, right? Plus you have access to all the previous things that you made. So if you ever mess something up, you can easily go back. You can just click here and you can choose whatever you want to go to and that's done, right? Great, so now I'll switch back to master. So this is basically all the basic intro to Git and GitHub that I wanted to give you, and now we have finished this version control. Code sharing, of course, you can like when we were making this repository, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but it asked us if this repository was to be public or private, right? So I ticked on public, and hence if I share this link with anybody, so if I copy this, I open another incognito, I paste the link in. So I'm currently not signed in. You can see, so let's say I am signed in. That's how Chrome works. But even if I paste this somewhere where I'm not actually signed in, this will show up, and that's because this is a public repository. You could make this private, and then nobody can see it. So you can make your even your projects that you do not want anybody access. You can put your code here and you can choose not to let anybody access it, right? So that's also an option. And great, so that's all for GitHub and Git. And this is a lot of content. Git and GitHub is not something people can get comfortable with really soon. So I'll suggest you try this out, you try to do this, and the best thing you can do is to try and push all of the code that we have done till now, basically all of this, to your GitHub, right? Just like I've pushed this to my GitHub, you can try to push this to your GitHub. And if you're able to do that by yourself, then you are like already familiar enough with Git to work with it, right? Or even if you're not able to push, try to make a commit about this whole thing, right? Great. So that's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one, which will be the last topic of this whole course. And then you are capable of calling yourself a developer, right? Great.